The historic peace deal between Tasmanian loggers and conservationists appears to be on the brink of possible collapse. One of the key players, the Wilderness Society, has suspended its involvement in the negotiations meant to end the decades-old conflict. The Green group's blaming both the state and federal governments for its withdrawal, as Martin Cudahy reports from Tasmania.
G'day, Vic. How are you? Hello, Tim. I'll leave you to your job. Well, you bloody caused all the trouble, you mongrel.
There's no love lost between the timber industry and green groups. Today was no different. The latest confrontation stems from a decision by the Wilderness Society to suspend its involvement in peace talks.
We are expressing our frustration by stepping back from the process, by suspending our involvement in these talks.
The whole thing may blow up in everyone's faces and we may end up without a forest peace process at all.
Forestry is more than a polarising industry. It's a decades-old dispute, one that's seen mass protests and rallies, arrests and even violence. Last year's peace deal was hailed as a breakthrough. It was meant to ban all work in high conservation value forests and phase out logging in native forests.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
The agreement was brokered by Our Common Ground, a new player that helped bring together loggers and greenies. In truth, it was more like a ceasefire than a peace treaty. But at the time, there was a mood of optimism.
They have persisted and have made this once-in-a-generation opportunity come to fruition.
We do believe that we've now got a unique opportunity to move beyond the decades of conflict over our native forests.
But despite the opportunity, the Wilderness Society pulled out late yesterday. It believes federal and state governments are dragging the chain.
What we need to see is a clear commitment from government that they are on board, that they will back this agreement, that they will make serious commitments about protecting our forests and restructuring an ailing industry.
There's no doubt the Wilderness Society position makes the reaching of an agreement that much more difficult than it was before their withdrawal.
Other signatories, particularly the Forest Industries Association, are fuming at the decision to suspend involvement.
This seems to be much more about the Wilderness Society wanting to pursue their agenda outside of the negotiations process.
What it shows is when the going gets tough, the Wilderness Society walk out.
It's not the first time the Wilderness Society has pulled out of a forestry peace deal. Twice in the 1980s and 90s with the Salamanca Agreement and the Regional Forests Agreement, both similar sorts of peace deals, the organisation withdrew when negotiations weren't progressing favourably.
With respect, you didn't actually address the question now. I said you have pulled out of two of these agreements previously. Is this just simply a stunt?
We make our decisions based on what we believe are going to deliver real outcomes.
I think the Wilderness Society is genuinely frustrated about the lack of progress, and I understand that frustration, but the Greens still do support this process.
6 weeks ago, the facilitator of the talks, Bill Kelty, handed down an interim report. But as yet, there's been no response from either government. In a fortnight, some of the peace delegates are scheduled to meet with the government in Canberra. The Prime Minister insists she's upheld her end of the bargain.
Well, I certainly believe the federal government has done enough. What I would say to the people in Tasmania, the representatives who have been sitting around a table, is now is not the right time to walk away from that table.
Despite today's setback, remaining players are vowing to continue the peace process.
This agreement is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for Tasmania to both protect our native forests and to get a strong future for the timber industry.
We remain committed to trying to produce an outcome from that process, and we will continue to participate positively in that process with a view to trying to achieve an outcome.
And there remains the looming threat that the whole peace deal could fall over, meaning a return to the days of conflict in Tasmania's forests.
If there's any danger of it falling apart, it's because parties at the table walk away, just like the Wilderness Society have now.
It's very tempting for the other signatories to now decide to walk in and out of the process whenever we feel like it. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.